Hello everyone, my name is Sivash Roy. I'm the head of training and development at the Indian Cybersecurity Solutions, and I welcome you all to this special webinar today. And today's topic is a very interesting one that is from the cloud security, that is AWS Inspector and patch management automation. So, what is AWS Inspector? What is patch management? That is definitely like in a OS environment. If you are say thinking, then patch means some security updates or some any software updates that they release, like the Microsoft OS or the Linux. Like there is some defect or some bugs. To rectify that, they release the patch management. And so, what is important about this inspector and patch management? Let's begin. So we'll be talking about the AWS Inspector and Patch Management here, and we'll explore the effective strategies for utilizing AWS Inspector and managing patches in the cloud security environment. So what is the AWS Inspector? Inspector automates security assessments to identify the vulnerabilities, and it ensures that applications comply with best practices. So definitely if you're a cloud engineer or a cloud security professional, then definitely you have to make sure that the vulnerabilities are not there in the cloud server, and you have to ensure the applications are actually running with the compliance. So it is actually running according to the compliance. It is essential for maintaining a secure cloud environment, and it facilitates proactive measures against potential threats or attacks. So, what is AWS Inspector? Inspector is a security assessment service designed to automatically evaluate applications deployed on AWS. So, if you have deployed some applications like EC2, so there can be some vulnerabilities like some ports can be open. Like you can say you have opened every port to the outside world. So it means that anybody could hack into it, anybody could attack. So those things can be checked. Or you are using such a VPC, virtual private cloud, let's say that is a network that is exposed to everybody. So that is a public network. So that is also a vulnerable part. So inspector checks these things, and it checks for deviations from established best practices. So what are the best practices, what are the rules that you have in the company, and where you deviate from that, and it ensuring that applications remain secure and compliant throughout their life cycle. Now, what are the benefits of using AWS Inspector? First of all, automated security assessments, because nobody nowadays just gives commands or uses some GUI to actually deploy the assessments there. They use automation. Like everywhere, like in Cisco environment, Microsoft environment, AWS means the cloud also uses automation nowadays. Now, AWS Inspector automates the process of conducting security assessments, and it allows organizations to quickly identify vulnerabilities without the manual intervention. So you do not need to go there to every server client, and you do not need to just check the vulnerability manually, because it will take a lot of time if you do it with command line. So nobody does that. Everybody uses the scripts or the automation. And also if you go to the AWS, there is a system manager, AWS Inspector and system manager console. So everything is integrated there, and you can do it automatically, and it saves valuable time and resource. Now, the continuous monitoring, that is also a part. With AWS Inspector, continuous monitoring ensures that the applications are regularly assessed for new vulnerabilities that may arise, and allowing organizations to maintain a proactive security posture. Now, you can integrate with other AWS services also. Like AWS Inspector seamlessly integrates with other AWS services, and it enables streamlined workflows for vulnerability management. Like it can integrate with others like IAM roles that you can have, identity and access management, that is also for the security role that you can have for the AWS. So it also integrates with that. It also integrates with EC2, VPC, all these things. Now, detailed reporting and insights, that is also provided by it. The detailed reports generated by AWS Inspector provides actionable insights, and it helps organizations to prioritize vulnerabilities based on severity, which means that you have to give some severity report, like which vulnerability is on top, which one is on bottom. So if it's on the top, then definitely it should be dealt very quickly, and it should be given the utmost importance. And compliance requirements, thus facilitating informed decision making. Now we have to understand vulnerability management. Effective vulnerability management is essential for maintaining the security and integrity of software system, and it involves a continuous process of identification, classification, and remediation. So everything should be done, and everything should ensure that vulnerabilities are addressed promptly. Now, how AWS Inspector works, that is also a workflow that we need to understand. First is assessment templates. Now, inspector uses assessment templates to define the security rules and checks that will be applied during the assessment process. So you have to first define the rules. Otherwise, it will be meaningless. You have to define some policies, like in the security policy, in the group policy that we do in the OS level. The same way, this is a template or policy, a setting you have to apply. These templates can be customized also to suit specific application requirements and compliance standards. Next is agent installation. Now, second is to perform security assessments. The inspector agent must be installed on the target EC2 instance of the container. So, let's say you are installing it on the EC2 or Docker container. So, you have to install the agent, AWS Inspector agent on that. And this agent collects runtime data and ensures that comprehensive analysis of the application environment. So, it actually gathers the data and then it evaluates the security policy. Running assessments. Once the agent is installed and templates are configured, then assessments can be run to evaluate the security posture. This involves analyzing the configurations and then identifying vulnerabilities based on the rules. Then generating reports. After assessments are completed, then the AWS Inspector generates comprehensive reports detailing vulnerabilities discovered. So it is like the auditing, you can say. Auditing is very important. Auditing is very crucial for your cloud and for security environment. And also, according to the severity, it also prepares the report and recommended remediation steps also it recommends. So, what are the steps you can do to perform the remedy? These reports are crucial for prioritizing the different security actions. Now, key features of Inspector means automated security assessment, customizable assessment template, integration with AWS services, detailed vulnerability reports, and support for various environments. Now, what is the patch management? So, one is the inspector, one is the patch management. Everything is included in the systems manager. Patch management involves the systematic deployment of updates and fixes to software and system. So, what I was telling you that if there are some bugs, if there are some defects, or like any update is required for any upgradation, then AWS releases patches. This process is critical for addressing security vulnerabilities and improving functionality and ensuring that compliance with industry standards. Importance of patch management includes protects against vulnerabilities. So regular patching safeguards systems by addressing known vulnerabilities and thereby reducing the risk of cyber attacks and data breach. Then it ensures compliance. So adhering to patch management products protocols ensures that organizations meet regulatory requirements. So definitely the compliance should be met, thereby avoiding potential fines and penalties. So there are some compliance, there are some standards, international standards. So you have to meet these standards. Then it improves system performance also, because patching not only fixes vulnerabilities but can also enhance system performance by actually optimizing software and eliminating the software bugs that is causing. So definitely it improves the system health also, and it reduces the downtime. So effective patch management minimizes downtime by ensuring that patches are applied in a timely manner, and it prevents the system failures and service interruptions. So otherwise, what will happen? There is some bugs, there is some defect, and some systems are failing because of that. And you haven't implemented the patch management, so definitely it will be downtime. Means the server will be down for some time. I want that the downtime will be zero. So I want to implement the patch management. So types of patches are security patches, bug fixes, feature updates, and service packs. Service pack means that if you are doing some upgradation, some new release of say the operating system or the application is released, then you can deploy the service packs. So what are the challenges in the patch management? Identifying all assets. So you have to identify all assets in an organization, and it can be complex due to the diversity of system application. So you have to make an inventory report and without that it becomes difficult to ensure all necessary patches are applied. Now, testing patches before deployment is essential to avoid potential disruptions. However, it can be time consuming and resource intensive also. So definitely some systems have to be validated, and for that the time is required. Then scheduling downtime for patch installation can affect business operations, and organizations need to balance the need for security with the impact on productivity. And ensuring compliance with industry regulations and internal policies is a critical aspect of patch management, and failure to comply can lead to penalties and increased security risks, and making it necessary to stay updated with guidelines. So you have to integrate AWS Inspector with the patch management, not individually, because AWS Inspector for vulnerability insights that automates the assessment of application security, and it identifies vulnerabilities that need to be patched, and its reports help prioritize vulnerabilities based on severity. Means you have to make it on a scale of say 0 to 10, and you have to give utmost importance to the patch or security update that is on the top and potential risk, and enables organizations to address critical issues promptly. And patch management for timely remediation. So patch management involves systematically updating software to fix vulnerabilities and improve functionality. And by leveraging insights from AWS Inspector, organizations can actually streamline the patch management process. And you have to ensure that most critical vulnerabilities are prioritized and it is remediated. Means this inspector will actually gather the report, and patch management will actually do the remedy. That is the two things that will go hand in hand, and you have to integrate these two. So this is about the AWS Inspector and patch management in 30. And now I would like to take you to the, you can say, the AWS console. Here it is. And you can see that is the AWS Systems Manager. Now this AWS System Manager has everything. It has this inspector, it has this patch manager, everything is there. Now if you go to this node tools, and if you go to patch manager, now you can see AWS Systems Manager, Patch Manager. So you have to create a patch policy. You have to specify in a policy whether to scan only or to install missing patches. So you have to deploy the agent like that, and you have to scan the system, and then you have to view dashboard, and you have to get a high level view of patch compliance, and you can also view the compliance reports. So you have to create the patch policy. So you have to give a patch policy name and scan, or you have to do scan and install. So install some software or scan, and you have to ensure that the targets, so target can be the EC2 instance or the patching log storage. Means you have to store the logs in the S3 bucket. So you have to create an S3 bucket URL or S3 URI. You have to give, and you have to store the results there. So you can see the percentage of nodes or number of nodes that it should scan. So you have to definitely have more than one ES2 instances, and there are many options there, and you can create the, you can say, the policy. So you have to first install an array of these two instances, let's say, and then you can scan them, because one or two ES2 instances will not make any sense to scan, because you will not get the desired result until you are actually having a lot of data, a bulk of data that is on the ES2 instances, and you can scan. Also there is compliance. So this is AWS System Manager compliance. So also you can create the patch baseline. So actually you can select the different products. You can see the different operating systems are there. So for the operating systems like the Windows 2025 or 2022 server, then auto approve patches after a specified number of days, or up to a specific date you have to apply or approve the patches. So you can actually set up different rules for applying the patches, and what are the updates or patches, whether it is critical updates, security updates, or security patches, or normal updates. And severity, you can actually maintain severity here: critical, important, moderate, low. So there are different severities there. And also you can add the approval rule, so how it should be approved, or how it should be sent to the remediation server, everything you can set. And you have to create the patch baseline. So this have to create, and then you have to automate, means you have to make definitely scripts. Now automation means definitely the Python or the JSON scripts that we know. So this actually system manager gives you a proper insight to make the security insights, the compliance, and the inventory. And then you have to implement it using the automation. So there are a lot of things in these node tools. Even there is this automation. So system manager, automation, and here you can make the run book. Run book means it is like the playbook that you have in the Cisco. So in the Cisco, what we do, we can make the programs, the scripts, and we save it inside the playbook, and then we can run it. And here in the AWS, it is using run book. It is the same thing. So you have to make that, you have to do the coding, the scripting, and then you have to save this, and you have to create the run book, and then you have to run. So this is the ultimate thing. Like it is in the automation, you have to say deploy it for the 500 users, for the 500 PCs that you have to deploy. So you have to do it here. And also remediation, for this also you can create the scripts. So every script should be created before you can say implement it. You can check this remediations also. AWS config remediation cancel deletion. So you can execute the automation. So already few automations are already available. It is active. And also you can see the content, or always you can also make your own script. So this is the content, this is the scripts that you can see. So this way you have to make your scripts, and then you have to deployment it, you have to implement it in the automation. So this is the thing that you have to do. You have to also check the versions, details, so everything you can check. So it's on the IAM role, and key ID, it is strings. So definitely some scripts are there. So this way you have to make the scripts, and you have to deploy it this way. So this is about the entire thing that I have shown, that is about the AWS Inspector. And patch management means it is a systems manager. That is the one thing that you need. And within that system manager console, you can have different features, and combine this. This is the means the inspector and patch management. So this is about the main features of the inspector and patch management that I have shown you, and also I've discussed it thoroughly theoretically, and also I've shown you the options in practical life. And also in one or two instances or S3 bucket, you cannot have a good understanding of this patch management, because you need an array and a collection of the S3 instances or any resources to deploy the patch management there, because it is deployed on a production environment where you are dealing with a bulk of data, not with one or two or 10 or say even 50 files. That will not make a big difference in this. But if you are dealing with a big environment, then definitely if you have to implement or deploy patches one by one, definitely it is a time consuming process. So that should not be done. So that is about the AWS and Inspector and Patch Management automation topic that I have, and I hope that you have got immense knowledge of this, and you also will be able to incorporate this in your enterprise. And also, this is a very important topic for AWS Solution Architect Associate Examination and AWS Cloud Security purpose. So anybody preparing for the exam, it will be immensely beneficial for that. And I have also a very good news for you. I have a questionnaire that is available with this. The link is available with this webinar actually. And there are 10 very easy questions I have set up. And if you can give at least 8 correct answers out of 10, you'll be eligible for a certificate. So just think about that. You will be eligible for a certificate, and that will be very, very helpful for your career, because cloud is the sky high today, and there is no limit. So cloud engineer, it is even bigger than the L3 engineer of Cisco nowadays. So definitely that will be very helpful for you. And also, if you enroll today for any courses, you'll get flat 10% discount today itself. So I encourage everybody to go for this cloud course or any courses right now. And as a very senior trainer of this AWS certification and network as a whole, I can definitely tell you that you can go for this course on AWS, and I encourage everybody to enroll right now so that I can personally groom you for the AWS certification that will be invaluable for your career. So that is about the webinar today that we have on AWS Inspector and Patch Management. And I thank you all for joining and watching this webinar once again. I will come with some new topic next time. Till then, keep studying and bye.